This is Mac OS Ken.
Great iPhone 16 expectations. Apple makes a play for more content consumers in India. And looking at the Apple CFO transition from a couple of angles. It is Wednesday, the 28th of August, 2024. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken. Brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by 1Password Extended Access Management, helping businesses like yours secure every sign-in for every app on every device. Learn more at onepassword.com/product/XAM. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSCan. Guess who still hears the hum of a SuperCycle in the vicinity? If you said Wedbush analyst Daniel Ives, pin a rose on you. Apple 3.0 ran part of a note he wrote on Tuesday that was prompted by Apple's Glow Time invitation/announcement on Monday. The way Ives sees it, that event will kick off Cupertino's biggest upgrade cycle in its history, with AI now on the doorstep. Quoting his note, "Our recent Asia checks are giving us more confidence this upgrade cycle will unleash a long-awaited renaissance of growth for Cupertino over the next year. We now believe initial iPhone 16 shipments will be 90 million plus, versus original street expectations in the 80 million to 84 million range, and up double digits year on year. With roughly 300 million iPhones globally having not upgraded in over 4 years in his firm's estimation, Ives and company think Apple could sell north of 240 million iPhone units in fiscal year 25 as this AI-driven upgrade cycle takes hold. China remains the linchpin of growth for Apple, and now this key region is set to see improving growth once again, starting with iPhone 16, heading into fiscal year 25. Mr. Ives has an outperform rating on Apple shares. His price target on the shares is $285. A lot rides on AI for iPhone. So says the Wedbush analyst, and so says market tracker IDC. The firm issued a press release Tuesday predicting good growth for smartphones for calendar year 24, better growth for Android, and performance for iPhone that's practically flat. For the whole kit and caboodle, IDC expects 2024 smartphone shipments to grow 5.8%. The firm expects Android growth to come in just over 7%, and iOS is expected to grow 0.8% in 2024, according to the firm. IDC Research Director Nabila Popel credits the resurgence of domestic brands in China for Android's growth. Competition in China also contributed to iPhone's flat performance, as did the tough compare provided by 2023. But here comes AI. According to Popel, there is a potential upside to the iOS forecast, with a lot depending on how well the demonstrated generative AI use cases play out in the coming iPhone 16 launch, and how soon Apple can establish local AI partnerships in China. IDC expects the iOS trajectory to improve in 2025 with 4% year-over-year growth thanks to Apple Intelligence, which is already creating a lot of excitement and is expected to gain momentum next year and encourage faster upgrades. Apple has made some content deals for folks in India. TechCrunch says the Cupertino company is teaming with Indian telecoms giant Airtel to offer Apple TV Plus and Apple Music to the masses. As the story goes on, whatever you do, don't think about what you pay for either of those services. According to TechCrunch, Airtel customers who have subscribed to Airtel's premium broadband and postpaid services will get Apple TV Plus service included in their plans, the Indian firm said Tuesday. Paying Wink subscribers will gain access to additional offers, Airtel said. The new changes will go live later this year. As for Apple Music, it will replace the music service currently offered by Airtel. And this is the part where cost-conscious customers may want to cover their ears. TechCrunch says Apple charges 99 rupees in India. That's $1.20 monthly for Apple TV and Apple Music in India, compared to $10 and $11 in the US respectively. A tie-up with Airtel will likely further lower the average revenue the company collects for Apple Music and Apple TV in the world's second largest internet market, but the move is likely Apple's attempt to reach more users in India, a country where more than 90% of smartphones run Android. Of course, Apple Music and Apple TV Plus are available on Android, so this could be a way to reach consumers who aren't hip to the whole Apple thing. Still, if Apple can afford $1.20 in India, they could probably come in a little under $10 and $11 here in the States. Just saying. Staying on the music tip, an interesting bit of news from Mac Rumors on Tuesday. According to the site, subscribers to Apple Music can now transfer certain playlists to YouTube Music. Easy? No. Full-featured? Not really. Still, it can be done. To an extent. After logging in on Apple's data and privacy page, the piece says, Apple Music users can select the Transfer a Copy of Your Data option to move playlists from Apple Music to YouTube Music. And only YouTube Music. Services like Spotify, Tidal, Deezer, and the rest are not supported at this time. As for what's transferred, it really is just a list. And just lists made by users. According to Apple's support doc on the functionality, only the playlists that you've created, including collaborative playlists that you own, are transferred. Music files are not transferred. Non-collaborative shared playlists and curated playlists are not transferred. Folders in which you've organized your Apple Music playlists are not transferred. And playlists can include only songs available on YouTube Music. If your playlist contains other audio files, such as podcasts, audiobooks, or user-uploaded audio files, they will not be transferred. It's kind of weird about the podcast. Didn't we just hear recently that YouTube is now the #1 destination for podcasts in the US? Also, doesn't Apple pretty much have to do this for Spotify at some point? It's an interesting bit of news. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, 1Password Extended Access Management. Do your work people always, without failure, without exception? Do your work people work on company-owned devices and IT-approved apps only? If you said yes, how can you know that for sure? And if you said no, what are you doing to protect your business? Yes or no, your company's data could be sitting on unknown and unmanaged applications and devices. Get a clearer look and a firmer handle with 1Password Extended Access Management. It puts unmanaged devices, unknown applications, and rogue IDs that, let's face it, your employees might be using under your control, making sure every user credential is strong and protected, every device is known and healthy, and every app is visible. 1Password Extended Access Management solves the problems traditional identity and access management and mobile device management miss. It's security for the way people work today. It's available now to companies with Okta and Microsoft Entra, and in beta for Google Workspace customers. Check it out at onepassword.com/product/XAM. That's onepassword.com/product/XAM. Ben Lovejoy at 9to5Mac has written an article about Apple's CFO transition that makes it sound like Apple's trying to pull a fast one. I told you yesterday of Apple's announcement that current CFO Luca Maestri will step back from his chief financial officer role, though he will stick around to oversee the corporate services teams at Apple. That all happens at the first of the year. Assuming the title of CFO, 11-year Apple veteran and VP of Financial Planning and Analysis, Kevin Parekh. While there's absolutely no reason to believe he won't make a perfectly suitable replacement, Lovejoy, expresses discomfort maybe. First, there's the timing. He suggests that the Maestri announcement hitting on the same day as the Glow Time announcement was engineered to distract from the CFO change. Though Maestri's replacement may be fine, Lovejoy says his low profile means most investors and analysts won't know him, and Apple will need to find a way to reassure them that nothing significant is changing. For this, he says, Apple is replaying its Johnny Ive trick, and I think I might be done with the 9-to-5 Mac argument. Cool as Johnny Ive was, and I personally think it was time for Ive to go when he did, Apple was a different company when Ive was headed for the exit. He was also much more public-facing, as was the work that he did. Though Maestri will still be around, 9-to-5 Mac argues you don't take a demotion from CFO to focus on what were very much secondary roles, and I know, I said I was done with the argument. Apparently unfazed by the chief financial officer change are the financial analysts who follow Apple. Apple 3.0 ran parts of notes from 4 analysts who wrote on the news. JP Morgan analyst Samik Chatterjee. Even though this is part of a planned succession, we expect investors will be mildly disappointed given the significant progress Apple has made on several fronts under the leadership of Luca Maestri. He and his think investors will hope for the continuation of a guidance/target setting practice that has been just right from Luca Maestri, showcasing consistency of execution while always leaving some room for execution-led upside for investors to cheer. Chatterjee maintains an overweight rating on Apple shares and a price target of $265. Next up, Evercore analyst Amit Daryanani. We view this as a planned succession that has been in the works for a while as Luca scales back his role, and he will be staying at Apple to ensure a smooth transition to Mr. Parekh. Daryanani has an outperform rating on Apple shares and a price target of $250. What says Wedbush analyst Daniel Ives? Kevin Parekh, an Apple finance veteran of 11 years, will take over as CFO, and we expect a very smooth transition as he takes the baton from Maestri. He's got an overweight rating on Apple shares and a price target of $285. Perhaps the most dour of expectations came from KeyBank analyst Brandon Nispel, and it really wasn't that dour. We see this as a modest negative for Apple stock tomorrow, meaning yesterday now, though from a big picture, we don't see this as an indication of business performance, as the release highlighted it as a planned succession, and there are 4 months to ensure a smooth transition. Nispel is neutral on Apple, with no stated price target on the company's shares. And finally today, congrats to Eugenio Derbez and crew. Apple issued a press release Tuesday saying that Derbez coming of age, dealing with age, bilingual comedy Acapulco has been picked up for a 4th season. The 3 previous seasons are available to stream now on Apple TV+. No word on when season 4 will make the scene. macOS Ken, brought to you by me, and sponsored by 1Password Extended Access Management. Learn more at onepassword.com/product/XAM. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at Patreon facebook.com/macosken. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. info@macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.